Hello students, today we are going to start the next step, that is the mechanism of urine formation. So already in the earlier video we have mentioned that the human excretory system, this is made up of the structures, kidney, both the two types of kidneys we have. Then after that from the kidneys ureter comes out. From the ureters, both the two ureters that will secrete or it's actually release its urine and store it in the urinary bladder. And then the last one is the next step, that is the removal of the waste product from the urinary bladder to outside exterior, that is the urethra. So just see if it comes to the human excretory system how it looked like. So first of all, this human excretory system, which is made up of a pair of kidneys. And we need to know also that the right kidney is a little below and the left kidney is present above. The reason that first of all it need to decrease, or it is not allowed to have any friction. If it is present in the same alignment, maybe it is possible that it can have friction. And also there is on the right side we have the liver, so that's why just a space, because of just a space, this right liver is decreased a little below. So right is on the below and the left one is above. Next one, from both the two kidneys, tube comes out that carries actually the waste product, that is the urine, and then after that it will be stored in the structure that will be called as the urinary bladder. From the urinary bladder, the urethra, this is the urethra, so this urethra will take out the waste product outside. So first of all, the kidney. So kidney is reddish or pinkish in color. Okay, it's reddish, brown in color also you can see, or pinkish also you can see. It's bean shaped structure. Okay, it is present in between T12 and L3. That means we have the thoracic vertebrae and the lumbar vertebrae. So the 12th number of thoracic vertebrae up to the 3rd number of lumbar vertebrae, what we have the kidneys. This kidney will have its membranes around, so it need to have its protection around it. So first of all, the outermost lining, the kidney will have its outermost lining. What is this? This will be called as the renal fascia. So this is called as the renal fascia. Then after that, inside what we are going to have a tissue that is acting as a just a cushion or act as a shock absorber here. So what is this? This will be called as the adipose tissue. So it will prevent it will protect the kidneys from any external mechanical injury. So that's why the adipose tissue is present. And just beneath we are going to have the innermost layer. So the innermost layer, here we are going to have its innermost layer. So this innermost layer is called as the renal capsule. So remember, renal capsule is the innermost layer. So this is the innermost one. Adipose tissue is present in the middle, which is acting as a shock absorber, and renal fascia, this is present on the outermost region. So this also have its protective nature. Right after that, what we have, the next structure after the kidneys, the next system, that human excretory system will have the next organ, that is the ureter. So this ureter, it's also its tube which comes out from the kidneys collecting the urine. So this ureter is going to have its membrane, the outermost serosa layer it will be present, then the muscularis layer is present. So this muscularis layer, it will have outer longitudinal, middle circular and inner longitudinal muscles present. Then after that it is going to have the third, that is submucosal layer. So this layers I have already mentioned in the digestive system, as the digestive system have 4 layers, that is serosa, muscularis, submucosa and mucosa. In case of ureter, that 4th layer, the mucosa layer will be absent, and the rest of the 3, that is serosa, muscularis and submucosa, it will be present. So this ureter will collect the urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder. So the next organ here, that is the urinary bladder, right? So this urinary bladder have the tissue, that is the transitional tissue. Okay, so this is the transitional epithelium we have. Then the next one, the next thing we need to know, that it is going to have one muscle also, that is called as the detrusor muscle. Okay, so this detrusor muscle will get an impulse, and after that what happens, this muscle will give stimulation so that our brain can understand that the urine start to fill in the urinary bladder, and that's after that we have the urge to micturate or urge to urinate. The last one that actually excrete or remove the urine from the urinary bladder to outside, this is called as the urethra. So in case of male, the urethra is a little longer, which is the common pathway for both the urine and the gametes, and in case of female it is short and it is only the pathway for the removal of urine, not the gametes. So this is the urethra, which actually remove the urine from the urinary bladder to outside, that is the urethra. Now after that, next one, see, if you see this kidney is going to have two parts. One is the cortex part and another just middle in almost central region, that will be called as the medulla. So this is the cortex and this is the medulla, right? Now if you see the medulla region, then we are going to find the type of one tube-like pyramid shaped structure is present this way. So each kidney is going to have around 6 to 8 such pyramid-like structures. They're called as the renal pyramid. Okay, so it is called as the renal pyramid because it is pyramidal in shape. So from the renal pyramid, part that is coming out, the end part. Suppose if you see this is the renal pyramid, from the renal pyramid one duct will rise, that will be called as the renal papilla. 2-3 renal papilla will join to form the minor calyx. Okay, so it will be known as the minor calyx. 2-3 minor calyces join to form the major calyx, and all of the major calyces will join to form the renal pelvis. And eventually renal pelvis comes outside the kidney, and that will be called as the ureter. Okay, so this way the different ducts that see this way, 2 of them, 3 of them that will join to form minor calyces, 2 or 3 of the minor calyces join to form the major calyces, then all of the major calyces will join to form the renal pelvis, and eventually renal pelvis comes outside, that will be called as the ureter. Right, so after that also we need to know that here what we are going to have the unit of excretion, that is called as the, that will be called as a nephron. So if you see this nephron is going to be two types. One is called as the cortical nephron because it is present in the cortex region, and another is called as the juxtamedullary nephron. So just juxtamedullary nephron, juxta means near, so near the medulla it is going to have another type of nephron that is called as the juxtamedullary nephron. Remember this cortical nephron, this is more in number, around 80%, 60 to 80% of the nephrons they are cortical nephron, and around 20 to 40% of the nephrons they are juxtamedullary nephron, they are juxtamedullary, around 20 to 40%. Cortical nephron have very short tube, that is the U-shaped loop of Henle, and this juxtamedullary will have a long tube, that is the loop of Henle. Cortical nephron have one function, that is the filtration process, that filtration of urine, and if it is juxtamedullary it is going to be another function, that is the maintenance of osmoregulation. Now if you see the structure of the nephron, how it look like, see, this nephron is going to have the first structure, this is called as the Bowman's capsule. This will be called as the Bowman's capsule. Then from this Bowman's capsule the tube is coming out, that is called as the PCT, proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal convoluted tubule will descend down, that will be called as the loop of Henle. This loop of Henle will ascend like this, and after that what we are going to have, the collecting duct. So PCT, this will be called as the loop of Henle, right? This is the loop of Henle, this will be called as the descending loop of Henle, this will be called as the ascending loop of Henle. This will be known as the DCT, distal convoluted tubule, and after that this will be called as the collecting duct. So eventually this collecting duct will filter out, will separate out the urine. Now towards the Bowman's capsule what we are going to have, a branch of artery will come, what we can call it, this will be called as the afferent arteriole, right? This afferent arteriole will get the number of branches, what we can call it, this will be called as the glomerulus, and eventually this small tube will come outside of the Bowman's capsule, that will be called as the efferent arteriole. So that will be called as the efferent arteriole. This is the structure of the nephron, which is the unit of excretion. So the organ of excretion, here we have seen a pair of kidney, then after that we have ureter, then urinary bladder and the urethra. In that kidneys, both the two kidneys, we are going to have around 1 to 1.5 millions of nephron in the excretory system. So these nephrons can be of two types, cortical nephron and juxtamedullary nephron. This nephron are going to have these structures. First of all, the cup-shaped structure, Bowman's capsule. Then in the Bowman's capsule, what happened? Afferent arteriole enters and efferent arteriole exit. You can see afferent arteriole have more diameter and efferent arteriole have less diameter. In this region, this afferent arteriole can branch so that it can increase the surface area for the filtration. In one day, we produce around 180 liters of nephric filtrate. They are being filtered in each day, 24 hours. So this is the glomerulus. Then after that, we are going to have one distensible tube. This is called as PCT, proximal convoluted tubule. Then after that, we are going to have the loop of Henle. This loop of Henle will have two parts. One is descending loop of limb of Henle, and this is going to be the ascending limb of loop of Henle. Then after that, we have the DCT, distal convoluted tubule, and this number of distal convoluted tubule will join and form the collecting duct. So this is about the structure of the nephron. After that, let's just move to the next part, that is mechanism of urine formation. So let's just move to that part. After that, let's just move to the next part, that is the mechanism of urine formation. So in this mechanism of urine formation, this process is occurred in three phases. What are they? First of all, this is ultrafiltration. So first we are going to have ultrafiltration. Then the second step, this will be called as the selective reabsorption, and the third step is the tubular secretion. So first of all, the step is ultrafiltration. So what happens, see, first of all, this is the structure. This is suppose the Bowman's capsule. Towards the Bowman's capsule, what happened? The blood vessel, that is afferent arteriole enters, that is going to have more diameter. And here, this is the efferent arteriole, it is going to have less diameter, right? So here, what happens in this part, what we are going to have, this is the glomerulus, right? So this is the afferent arteriole. I will not give you in detail. This is the efferent arteriole, and this is the glomerulus, right? Now what happens here? The process of filtration occurs. That means from this afferent arteriole, the blood with more force and the pressure, it comes entering inside the glomerulus. And from the efferent arteriole, as less blood is allowed to be moved outside, so that's why here a pressure is created, and due to that pressure, the blood that will just get filtrated outside here in the Bowman's cup. So that blood that actually is coming out, that will not contain RBC or the platelets. So what it is present, it is the nephric filtrate, which is nothing but the plasma. Okay, it is just the plasma. Okay, this plasma which is getting filtered, that will be called as the nephric filtrate. Then after that, what happens? With a very huge force, what happened? The nephric filtrate is produced. The nephric filtrate, that is going to be huge, that means 99% of the nephric filtrate will be reabsorbed once again. So what we have seen, this is a PCT, this is the DCT, and then after that it is the DCT, and this is the collecting duct, right? So what happens here? This PCT, this is the loop of Henle, this is the loop of Henle, this is DCT. So what happens, maximum thing, see, we have completed ultrafiltration, that is the process of filtration from the glomerulus to the Bowman's cup due to a force, that is glomerular hydrostatic pressure. What happens, amount of nephric filtrate get filtered out. This is a PCT, proximal convoluted tubule, where maximum biomolecules, okay, the biomolecules will contain glucose, fructose, galactose, amino acid. Those things will be reabsorbed, and some ions and electrolytes that will be also reabsorbed, but not 100%, 70% around ions will be reabsorbed. Then after that, this the loop of Henle. Remember, this descending loop of Henle is impermeable to solute. Okay, so solute cannot enter, solute cannot exit. Rather, what actually is removed, see, from here water is removed outside. It is permeable to water only, but it is impermeable to the solute. And exactly opposite thing happens in the ascending loop of Limbaugh-Hamle. So what happens, it is permeable to the solute. That means solute from outside, the solutes like important solutes like sodium chloride, then calcium, potassium, that type of ions that will be taken up by the medulla from the loop of Henle, that means from the nephric filtrate. So what happens, this is the ascending loop of Henle, it is impermeable to the water and it is permeable to solute. Come to the DCT, remaining amount of solute like some of the ions and electrolytes that will be filtered, it will be reabsorbed by the process, that is selective reabsorption. Now, due to maintain concentration gradient, some amount of urea, just to maintain our concentration gradient, we will just take out, that will be from the collecting duct, just to maintain concentration gradient. Some amount of urea will come out, but maximum urea will be removed outside with water. So as we are reabsorbing most of the solutes and water, see, every day we are producing 180 liters of urine, but from that 99% will be reabsorbed, and only in the whole day we urinate about 1.5 liter of urine. Then after that, what it is actually seen here, the last step, that is the tubular secretion, is here. So what is the tubular secretion? See, this efferent arteriole will take around this loop of Henle some coiling. Then after that, here what it is, the blood vessel present. So forcefully some type of things that will be filtered, or it will be secreted from the vasa recta, this is one type of blood vessel, to the DCT. Those will contain the different drugs. Then after that, the excessive vitamins B and C, some harmful elements like hydrogen ion, KOH, this type of thing that will be forcefully filtered, secreted from this vasa recta or blood vessel to the DCT, so that the nephric filtrate which is now present, that nephric filtrate will not have any type of important solutes, because most of those important solutes are taken back in the PCT, in the DCT, and also in the ascending loop of Henle. But yes, harmful elements by the tubular secretion that will be taken, right? And from the collecting duct, the type of urine that is going to produce is the hypertonic type of urine. So what is hypertonic type of urine? The urine which contain less water and more solutes, they are all harmful. Our main purpose is to remove urea. So urea, maximum urea, along with that some harmful elements will be removed outside by this process mechanism of urine formation. So this is all about the whole process of mechanism of urine formation. This is up to your syllabus for the next phase, next weekend exam. So I hope you understand. Thank you.